Hello my fellow bassists. So there's no doubt that classical thump is one of the craziest bass solos ever recorded, but what if I told you it's not as hard as it sounds? Okay, I'm not saying it's easy by any means, but I think a lot of the difficulty of this piece comes in our unfamiliarity with the double thumb technique and how physically exhausting it is if we haven't practiced this very much. When you break down this piece, there's loads of repetition, and so it's not really the notes that are complicated, but it's more about just really refining your double thumb technique to the point that you can actually keep up with those really fast 16th note triplets. So in this video, I'm going to break down the first part of the solo. I'm going to show you how to play each phrase. I'll give you some tips to show you exactly how to get the best right hand double thumb technique. And then once we're done, you should check out the companion practice video where you can play along with me, starting from a slow tempo and then gradually bringing it up to full speed. Alright, so the first phrase is not too challenging if you've already got some slap experience. So nothing too crazy there, just make sure you don't start the song too fast because you're gonna really regret it in about 10 seconds time. The next phrase is exactly the same except you hit an open string and then hammer on to the note like this. So again, not the hardest thing in the world, but now is where things really start going crazy. The first phrase was 8th notes, then we had 16th notes, and now we have 16th note triplets. Luckily, we're not slapping every single note because that would be ridiculously difficult. What we're doing now is down, hammer, up, like this. Try playing that along with me a bit. Once you're a little bit familiar with the feel of that pattern, you just move it around to all those notes that we played in the first phrase, like this. And then you end with this G major descending thing like this. Try playing the whole phrase slowly with me a few times. So one thing I've found through many hours of trial and error is that when I'm doing this down, hammer, up thing, I need to have my thumb pointing more towards me than I expected, like this. If my thumb is too parallel to the string like this, I find that sometimes it gets stuck on the way up. So having it a bit more pointed towards me seems to work well. The next phrase also uses the down, hammer, up pattern. In fact, this whole song actually uses that pattern a lot throughout, so if you can master one of these triplet phrases, it really makes the whole song quite a lot easier. So in this next phrase, we're doing the same pattern, but we're doing descending triads like this. Let's play that phrase slowly together a few times. you're double thumbing on the G string, you have to be very conscious about keeping your technique small and efficient because you're not landing on the string below. You don't want to be using big motions like this, because that's going to make it much harder to play fast. I personally find that having my thumb land on the body of the bass helps a lot. And now the last phrase of part 1 doesn't actually use any double thumbing. It uses the open hammer pluck pattern, which sounds like this. Try playing that with me a bit. Then all we do is play the same descending triads that we did in the previous phrase, but now using the open hammer pluck technique like this. Let's do that phrase together nice and slowly. Alright, so that's all the phrases in part 1. The best way to practice now is to put all of those phrases together and practice them starting slow and then gradually building up the tempo. I actually created a practice video that guides you through that process, and you can get it for free on the Basecamp Patreon. So head over there if you want that practice video as well as a load of other exclusive bass lessons. Thank you so much for coming here and learning with me. Let me know if you want me to cover part 2 of Classical Thump, and I'll see you in the next lesson.